Hello, I'm Geoff Schoenberg, the Principal Consultant at Eunomia Governance Solutions, and welcome to a 5-minute video on governance. Everyone's talking about risk, and rightly so. It's both a common stress for all boards and a priority action area for most. How do we manage risk? What's our risk management framework? Do we have a risk registry? What's the consequence and likelihood of different events occurring? Today, I'm going to outline 4 things I think many boards miss when thinking about, discussing, or acting on risk. Number 1. Risk is actually neutral. The most globally accepted definition of risk these days is risk is the effect of uncertainty on objectives. Everyone assumes that risk is negative and a bad thing and must be avoided, but that's not true. Risk is actually about maximizing the opportunities and minimizing the losses associated with uncertainty, aka risk. So the board's job is to identify how to gain the good effects while limiting the bad effects. Number 2. When facing tough situations which could require making changes to the organization, boards often default to what is the risk of taking the leap, making the change, etc. The new initiative is reviewed, scrutinized, and analyzed from all angles to identify any potential harm. But boards do not apply the same level of thinking to the organization's current state. Risk is about uncertainty, and what we know or the way we've done things is comforting. A new approach is scary. But boards must ask themselves, what if we don't make a change? What is the danger or long-term prospects to the organization if the board fails to take action? Number 3. Boards need to set the organization's appetite for risk. When setting risk appetite, boards need to consider both a maximum appetite for risk and a minimum appetite for risk. This should be done for both the organization as a whole, i.e., we're in a growth phase, so we're happy to accept more risk, and for different areas of risk, finance, compliance, program delivery, etc. Financial reserves are an easy example to demonstrate risk appetite. Most boards think about a minimum reserve they should have, say 6 months or years worth of operating costs. But what's the maximum reserve? At what point is there enough money in the bank and that money could and should be going to achieving the organization's objectives? Either spending more money on program delivery or maybe taking on more uncertain projects, i.e. riskier projects, that might have less chance of success. Last but not least, number 4. The board's role is risk oversight and not risk management. Boards have a tendency to want to manage risks themselves, when that is the role of management. Instead, boards should focus on assuring themselves that the CEO and their staff are effectively managing risks. Rather than asking how should, boards need to ask, are we convinced and comfortable that our risks are being managed? This is where a risk appetite statement comes into play. When management provides a risk report or a risk registry, the board can compare that report to the stated appetite. If all risks are within the appetite, great. If not, then the board has 2 options. Option 1, and the most common option, is directing management to address the issue. Again, it's not the board's role, generally, to tell management how, but to insist that they take action and follow up. The other option is to change the organization's risk appetite. Changing the appetite shouldn't be used as a way to avoid taking action, but rather reflects that the environment has changed and the previous appetite may no longer be appropriate. Now, I could talk a lot longer on risk, but I promise to keep this quick. As a recap, 4 important things for your board to consider when thinking about risk. 1. Risk itself is neutral. It's the effective risk worth considering. 2. It is equally important to consider the risk of not taking action as taking action. 3. The board needs to set the organization's appetite for risk. And 4. The board's job is risk oversight, not risk management. Got any questions? Got any thoughts? Suggestions for other topics or formats? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.